And while I'm screen sharing, I won't be monitoring the hands or the comments on the chat. So Paul or Rosemary, someone else, if you can keep an eye on those,
we will.
that'd be appreciated. And also, please, this is the teaching style I like is more interactive. So even if it's just a quick question along the way, just come off mute, jump in and say, hang on, Adam, I got a quick question here, or that didn't make sense. I'd love to just hit those as they come up. I find it also, the context of it often helps everyone learn a little better along the way. So with that, let's dive right in. Here's my lovely Word document I put together last night. So today's presentation is around how to go from text to image and then use that image to generate a video. And as I've characterized this here, I call it my pipeline tools. The first link's there. That's to my website, Appman Academy, as well as to Paul and team at GAI Insights, as well as where you can find me on Twitter and LinkedIn for anyone who's looking to follow up on me. The first links there are text to image tools, and I'll just talk through them, and then I'll just quickly flip through them. We have Bing Chat, which is basically a free version of ChatGPT. You can see here it's part of Microsoft's Copilot, and it does have the capabilities both to do image generation as well as the more advanced reasoning for just conversational AI. When you're using it for the video, for the images, I strongly recommend you flip over to this more creative mode. And then right in here, you can say, show me a cute kitten, right? And it'll just run off and it'll make you a picture. Happy days.
Is your
so
Google
that's
Doc
Bing
available?
Chat. What's that?
Is your Google Doc available that we're looking at?
Yes, I put the link to it in the chat.
Okay, I didn't see it. Thank you.
That's okay. Thanks for asking. Second tool is ChatGPT Plus. I strongly recommend everyone consider paying the $20 a month, at least for 1 month, and giving this a go and really investing your time and energy into understanding the power of this tool. It's more than just a chatbot. It's what they call multimodal, right? So you can put text in, you can put images in, you can upload PDFs and Excel spreadsheets. It can also output some of those formats. It can make pictures. It's just a very, very flexible, dynamic tool. The analogy I equate this to is in the early internet days, when people would say, well, I don't need an AOL subscription. I'm really fine without surfing the web. So this is one of those things I strongly recommend. It's early, but get the subscription, get onto the more powerful tool, and start understanding what it can do. Here's what it looks like. I assume most of you have seen it by now. I'll get back to this in just a minute. And then the third one, which I really consider best in class for text to image, is MidJourney. At the moment, the way to access it is through their community server called Discord. They're in alpha testing for a website availability, but this is the most powerful, flexible, dynamic tool on the market right now for making images. And it also comes with a cost. So that's text to image. If anyone has questions on those, jump in anytime. Otherwise, I will move on. In my workflow, once I have an image, I find the video results I get are much better if the image is higher quality. These tools produce pretty good imagery, but there are what we call upscalers, which will increase either and or both the resolution of the image, but in the case of the best-in-class Magnific, it will actually use AI to fill in more detail into the image. It's a phenomenal tool, but it comes with a cost as well. Today, I'll be showcasing dGB.lol. If you look here, this site is littered with ads, but that's what they've done in their commitment to keep the tool free. So we'll be looking at this a little bit later as well, but those are upscalers, which is to increase the quality of your image. And then lastly, we'll take that image and we'll make a video from it. Pixverse is a great free image to video tool. Oh, here's Magnific, by the way. You can see before and after. Just the quality of the upscale is pretty extraordinary. They have lots of examples. It's a very powerful tool. Definitely worth checking out if you're into that. Pixverse is a free tool. It doesn't have much control, but if you're just looking to do a little animation, it'll definitely at least get you out of the starting blocks. The other one, which I'm going to be showcasing today, is Runway ML. I pay for the lowest monthly subscription with this, And do recommend, if you're really getting into generative video, it's best of class right now on the market, and we'll be looking at that quite a bit over the next 15 minutes here.
Hey, Adam, can you give
Yeah.
any pricing on those as you go through? Like how much is
No,
Runway?
you can go look them up. They're
Okay.
all there. Yeah. Thanks for asking, though. I just don't remember off the top of my head, and I don't want to use the time to go into that. What's that? Me?
I think most of them are like 15 to 20 a month.
Depends on, I mean, like Runway has an unlimited plan that I think is $79 a month, but then it's all you can eat, right? So it scales up as often these do. Yeah, go ahead.
We got a hands up from Michael. Michael, thanks for raising your hand.
Go ahead, Michael.
Yeah, real quick, Adam. So I'm just curious, for all of these, did you take notice of what their privacy policies were? Do they mention them, or is it just left to the reader to figure it out themselves?
Most of these, I'd imagine, have explicit privacy policies. I don't look into them much. I'm using these for personal more than commercial purposes. I'm not too concerned about what I'm putting into them. It's a great question. It's worth looking into. Not something I'm too worried about, honestly.
All right, thanks.
I want to call this out. It's an incredible opportunity for everyone here. Gen 48 is Runway. This video tool is now running their second competition. It's just great marketing for them to promote their tool and what people can do with it. The idea is teams have 48 hours to make 1 to 4 minute films. Whether you're going to compete, whether you think you can win, the incredible thing, as I say here, it's free to enter, and they will give you 300,000 credits, which is 1,000 generation minutes, to play with the tool over the course of the weekend. That's this coming weekend, and the deadline is, I believe, tomorrow to register. So whether you want to register by yourself or join a team, I'm partnered with 2 other people, and we're going to give it our best go. But if nothing else, it's just a great opportunity, free access to a lot of credits with a very powerful tool if you just want to dive in and get your feet wet with that. So that's the landscape. I'm obviously going to be going into more detail, but I'll just pause there for a sec, see if anyone had any questions, comments.
You're doing great.
And again, please, if people are typing in the chat, someone read them out to me. Thanks.
We're monitoring.
One quick thing I want to point out as we get into DALL-E, which is the image generation in ChatGPT. If I go over here in the bottom left to my profile and I click on my name, under custom instructions, you'll see I've added this line here. Anytime you generate an image, please also return the image ID and seed ID. These are very powerful tools when you're working within it and you're trying to iterate. So the image ID within that conversation is the actual exact picture it generated. The seed ID is a random number, which then you can specify and reuse, which creates a general theme or, I guess, feel stylistically to the art. So if you're working on images and you find one you really like the look of it, you can grab that seed ID and say, keep using this seed ID for future generations. Or as you'll see, you can specify an image ID as well, and then actually effectively continue to expand and develop from that image. And I'll be showing a little more about all of that shortly. This here is a custom GPT. So this is what you're looking at now. Appman Academy is my business. POAP stands for Proof of Attendance Protocol. And the idea here was you could just create a scene of yourself visiting the fictional Appman Academy and go ahead and I like to use this when I'm working on my own business because it's set up to understand this world I'm building. And so I will often go to here and I'll say, show me some pictures, show me what you're doing. And so here's an example of that. So I'm working on a storyboard, which is going to have these 7 shots in it. And this is the use case I'm bringing to bear today. So the first one was the wisdom of Mentis. The story begins with the seasoned alchemist in his vast library, So I went ahead and literally just copied that into my POAP maker because it knows about Mentis, it knows about Appman Academy. And it went ahead and made this picture of Mentis teaching the students of Appman Academy. So a lot of this I'm doing a show and tell rather than real time to save the I guess the time it takes for us to wait and watch it generate each image. As soon as I generated this image, I noticed, oh, I want this to be 16:9, which is the aspect ratio I like to use for videos. So I came right back and I said, amazing, but please go 16:9 and make it more photorealistic. Also, maybe pull back a little to put Mentis full frame. You see, he was kind of too close. And then it gave me this picture. So again, it's now 16:9. It's pulled back a little bit. Because I'm using a custom tool, it's not using my instructions. So I had to actually ask it, what are the seed and image ID? Because I liked this one and I wanted to work from it. And you'll see it said, here's the seed ID, here's the image ID. And I said, great, let's use this seed and this image, but with some minor modifications. So you'll see this picture, the next one actually looks a lot like it. And so I kept workshopping and going through it. And I finally got to a point, I noticed that Mentis is too young. So I said, make him more like he's 40, then make him more like he's 50. And I finally landed on this shot that I liked. As you'll see, I moved on then to the next image. That's the one I landed on. And then finally, this is a character that I'm basing Ether on, who's another character in my storyline. And from him, I uploaded this picture, told it to keep using that same seed ID, so it would be a similar style, but now base it off the traits of this character.
Does
Gave me this
ChatGPT
again.
know what Mantis looks like when you say Mantis, or do you need the seed ID and the picture ID?
Oh, in this case, because I'm using my tool,
Oh, you're using your own tool. I see.
it has context underneath it with regards to, like if we say, show me Mentis flying a drone, right? It will know who Mentis is.
Okay.
Or in this case, you could upload a picture and say, show me this person in a lab with Mentis doing some research, and it would
So it's
generate.
'cause it's your, but
I've already built all that context into the tool.
regular ChatGPT wouldn't know if you told it, call this guy Mantis and use him again as Mantis. It wouldn't know.
Well, no, it will. Like my tool didn't know who Ether is. And I said, I've attached an image for style reference for Ether. And then I gave all these details. And then so it says, for example, we find Ether, the bright-eyed novice. And then I say, you know, as we go, it continues to talk about, here's Ether, now in a less busy 16:9 setting.
Hey, Adam.
If I've set up the context for this character in the conversation, it can continue to understand that and just go with it. I can say, let's put Ether in a park, and it'll know who Ether is now.
Okay.
And then we got a few questions. Mike's got one in the chat.
Yep.
Go ahead, Mike, and then we'll do the chat.
Yeah,
one.
so I was going to bring up the one in chat, Paul.
Okay.
Tamer here is asking, how long does the seed ID last in the ChatGPT history?
It's retained in this conversation history in perpetuity, at least as far as I know. I've gone back to conversations a couple months old and continued chatting, and it keeps it in there.
And what about the images? Are they kept as well, do you know?
The image ID is retained, again, only in this specific conversation. If I started a new conversation and referenced this image ID, it wouldn't know it, but it is retained in the conversation as well. I don't know how they do it or how they can store these or what their retention policy is. I've never run into an issue though, so it amazes me.
The reason I'm asking is because when I generate an image and it gives a URL to access this image, actually, you can ask learn the URL. It starts with an explanation point. And after a while, this URL is no longer accessible in one conversation. That has been my experience.
I'd have to test that more.
Okay, after, thank you.
Yeah, I'm not sure about the image URL versus inline in the conversation. That might be the difference. It can't hold these shared links for too long, but it can keep it within the chat for the individual who's paying for the service.
And then,
I don't know, though. Yep.
and on one footnote, I did see someone that had a personal subscription to ChatGPT and upgraded the Teams, and they lost all their past chats. So I don't know if that's still a thing, but that was a big frustration they had that should be aware of people upgrading the Teams.
Yeah, that's terrifying.
Well, OpenAI said that's going to be over soon. They're going to have a migration tool. And I'm waiting for that also.
Oh, and with regards, I apologize, I forgot your name. You mentioned about issues with links. One of the things I'm finding is in the last 3 weeks, maybe, it will provide me text that's supposed to be a hyperlink, but it won't actually be a link. And I'm not sure if that's what you're talking about, but I'm absolutely experiencing that issue. And what I have to do then is say, don't give me a hyperlink, give me the explicit URL, and then it'll just show me the URL and I can copy paste it. But at the moment it's
You're
it's
right.
broken.
In the last
Yeah.
few weeks, it has been a bit buggy, actually. All right.
Yeah.
I experienced it all.
Okay. So moving right along, I did manage to get all of these pictures down. And I want to highlight an example of this dGB.lol, which is the upscaler I was talking about. Let me go back to that. So this is the homepage of it, and I found really my workflow here is I'll just go to Tools, and then I'll say AI Image Upscaler, upload an image. I'll just take one I just I don't know, take any picture, it doesn't matter. And then I just use their balance upscaler. You hit submit. You'll see there's ads all over the place. Like I said, this is a free tool. It's a great tool. I don't mind the ads because I don't have to pay. And then if I go over on the left to my files, you can see that here are the ones I was doing last night in preparation for this with those images that I made in DALL-E. Here's one I did earlier today, a landscape with some clouds, which we might use for the video part of this. And here's the one I just submitted, and it'll say it's queued and it's going to be 12 minutes. I've seen the time for the upscaling vary between about 6 minutes, 7 minutes on the low end to well over an hour on the high end. It just depends how busy they are. It is a free service. So I'll just set it, forget it, come back later. It's worth noting there's no login. This is just a unique URL. So you have to share it with yourself. See, here's my unique link. And that's the only way I could get back to these from another computer. And they won't be retained after 24 hours. So this is a temporary tool I use. I'll upload images, upscale them, download them, and move on, right? If you want something better, like I said, Magnific is best of class in the industry right now. Go ahead, Paul.
Yeah, and just a baseline, make sure everyone understands. So you're showing tools to create images. So you go in text and create an image, and then you go into a different tool that enhance an image. These tools called Upscale that make it even better than the creation tool that you initially use. Is that?
Yeah, and I'll show you an example right now. So let's see. Here's the picture I made for AppMan Academy, right, originally. And if we come in and we look, like, you'll see the quality of the image. It's a bit fuzzy, the people down by the water, or even the green of this building here. And then if I flip over to the upscaled one, let's do that same zoom in.
Oh,
you just see it's just much crisper. The detail's finer. So I'll flip back and forth again here. You can see how fuzzy it is, like along here. And then I find when you're doing video, to have that little bit more clarity and crisper detail, like look at the water here, how it's kind of blurry. And then here you can see more clearly the ripples and the reflections. So that's what the upscaler does, is it increases the fine detail in the image, which I find is really, really helpful before you put it into a video tool. Y'all still with me? Good?
Yeah, fantastic, Adam. Keep going.
So I'll jump into the video side of things now. If I go over to my files, is this one's, oh, it's not done yet. Oh, here's the one I did just earlier today. I'll download this and we can play with it. Sure, where's it going? Into my downloads? We'll use that in one of the other tools. If I go to ChatGPT, let's see my making that image earlier this morning. I'll show you exactly what I did. That was foggy sunset valley image. So I said, show me a photorealistic image of a valley at sunset. Tall mountains and heavy fog / clouds shroud them. Gave me a nice little image. I thought that would be good. We could try and maybe make the clouds move and the fog roll in or something as our example today. And see, then it gave me the generation ID and seed ID because that's in my custom instruction. And then I said 16:9, please, but use this same generation and seed ID. So here's the original picture. And because it based off that, you'll see the one it made after that looks very similar. I mean, it's not actually identical, right? But it's a very similar look and feel to the picture. Just now I've expanded it to 16:9. This is the picture I just put into that upscaler. and I've just downloaded. And now let's jump over and look at what we can do with these video tools. So Pixverse, I think I have that open here. Here's an example. So here's an example I did yesterday with this free tool, Pixverse. I uploaded this image of Mantis and I just said, create. And you see what it did here. It kind of made everything but him move, right? Which is fine. Like I said, for a free tool, if you just want to get a little motion in an image, it's great. You'll see if I go over to Runway, which is the tool I recommend, this is what I was able to do in Runway. And you'll be able to see, look, you can see the people are walking. You see Mantis's face is actually moving a little bit. You just have a lot more control over the quality of the image, right? And we're going to actually do a demo right now.
Did you get the people to move, or did they do it automatically?
I got the people to move, and I'll show you how I did that in just a sec. We'll start with this image I just downloaded. Let's see the fog rolling in. There it is, the upscaled one. So one of the incredible features that Runway recently launched is what they call the motion brush, which allows you to specify motion in certain parts of the image. And I think about a week and a half ago, they launched what they call multi-motion brush. So as soon as this is done uploading, I'll actually show you how that works.
And
here's
Adam,
our image. Yep,
just a baseline, what you're showing here is image to video. You're starting with which is input, and what's output is the video.
Exactly. So multi-motion brush, you'll see on the screen, I have this purple circle. We're going to select a part of the image. Down here, you can adjust the size of it down to a tiny little dot, or if you want to paint a large area. And then you'll see a brush 2, which is sort of pinkish, brush 3, brush 4. So you can now specify motion in just certain parts of the image. So let's do that now. Like, let's say these clouds here, right? And I'm just going to draw in the cloud. I don't have to select the whole cloud. As long as you're on the subject of interest, it'll know which item you want it to move. And let's have these clouds move horizontally to the right. This scales 0 to 10. 10 is maximum motion. 0 is no motion. So let's do, it's a pretty windy day. Let's do 50% motion roughly. So these should move pretty quickly to the right. And let's also do proximity. Let's have them move away from us a little bit at the same time, right? So I've done the purple masking on these clouds. Now let's go over and let's play with the fog. I'll make this a little bigger. I'm going to say we want to do this fog, this fog, this fog, a little bit in there, and maybe some of this, right? Like that. These are the items I want to move. And let's have this fog move.
Do you need to change brushes?
Yeah, see, this is the purple brush, the red brush, the green brush.
So the purple brush is only for clouds. The red brush is for
the fog.
Okay.
Exactly.
What would
so
happen
now that
if
I'm
you
on
use
the
a purple brush for fog?
Pardon?
If you use a purple brush for fog, it would move like the clouds?
Whatever I make purple will have this directional information. It's going to move horizontally to the right and move further away. Whatever I have with the pink one, we're going to have move down. So the fog's going to descend into the valley.
Okay.
Right. And let's just do that. Lastly, just to sort of get a little bit of some ambient noise, I'm just going to go down into the valley itself, like along the river. And I'm just going to have a little bit of motion. So it won't move left or right or forward or back. It'll just sort of add a little bit to it. Maybe we'll do a little ambient noise for the sun as well.
Can you also save those settings so you could take that same setting and put it on a different picture?
Not that I'm aware of. When I hit save, it's just saving it for this session.
Okay.
See, and then we can also separately specify where the camera is going to do from a cinematic perspective. Maybe let's just do something really basic. Let's just have it zoom in a little bit while it's filming, basically. So we have it all set up. We're going to zoom in. Clouds will move to the right. The fog will roll in. And then we just hit generate. See, I only have 46 seconds left this month. So I'm really excited about those 1,000 minutes that I'm going to be getting over the weekend to play with. So and you'll see the video is being generated. It'll be done in a few minutes. It actually won't take a few minutes, but I'll I'll pause there for just a sec while it's generating and see if there's any other questions.
Adam, I just wanted to comment, who's the guy who was drawing where he'd say, oh, put a little, the painting guy?
Oh,
Ross.
Rob Ross,
what's his-
Bob Ross.
Yeah, you're like the
With the
digital,
happy
like,
trees.
oh, yeah, you're like with the digital.
Happy
Rob.
clouds.
Happy
So
Cloud.
Adam, this is all being done in the cloud. The processing, you're not doing any of this processing locally, correct?
That's correct. Yeah, I could turn off my computer and just come back in a few minutes and it would continue to generate. Yeah.
So are you doing this for fun, pretty much, or do you have a business agenda with this?
Oh, well, I mean, for example, that storyline I'm writing about Mentis and Ether is absolutely part of the business I'm building. I'm also using this tool with other projects and with other clients as well. But yeah, for the most part, the text, the image to video, I find is useful to make graphics that are a little more eye-catching for marketing materials. I haven't gotten too much into the full cinematic storyboarding, which is what I'm trying to start doing now. All right, so our image is generated. Let's take a look and see how we did.
Wow.
So the fog's moving down fairly quickly. The clouds are moving across, and you'll see in the valley here, there's just a little bit of that ambient noise that I highlighted.
Now you have to work on your soundtrack.
How long of a scene can you do it if you slow things down?
Yeah, that's a great question. You'll see there is an option right here, extend 4 seconds. And you can do that 3 times. So 3 times, so that would be a total of 3 extensions or 4 generations of 4 seconds. So you can do up to a 16-second video.
But there goes all your points.
And Adam, also, you know, when you said you added the cinematography and it looks like it's just the forward mountains. Is that true? Have you played with that much, the cinematography?
Sorry, it looks like it's just the forward mountains?
The foreground mountains are actually moving downward.
No, I think it's the perspective because it's moving up slowly. So the things in the foreground, the things in the distance, the elevation shift isn't going to be as noticeable. You'll see these ones, it's lifting very quickly because they're near the camera.
The classic,
but like this one here is moving, but not as much because it's further in the distance.
It's a classic optical illusion. The mountains aren't moving. The fog is moving.
Camera is, yeah.
The camera is. So it was that camera setting that you put on the.
Yeah, let's look at that again. I'll show you where that was. That was here, right? So I actually had it zoom in a little bit.
Just a little.
And it might be that this is moving down because when I masked the fog, it caught a little bit of the mountains as well. So that's a fair point. That might be what's happening here.
Okay. So it's not like my airplane is flying into the valley. It is kind of a goofy thing. Okay.
Right. And you can do that absolutely. So for example, if instead we wanted to use this free tool,
or you could
no
go to
prompt. I'll just let it.
You could go to film school for 6 months and figure out how to do it by hand.
For one.
Right. Here you can see there's the random seed, strength of the motion, but that's all the control you have. And it'll take a few minutes. Maybe we'll flip back to it right at the end here. But as I said, it doesn't have nearly the control that you do in some of these other tools. While we're here, I'll show you. Let's see assets. I'll go back to one just to show you. For example, I've done a few of these, you can see. Maybe it's this one. Let's see. Give it a go. I see it.
Certainly would be nice to add some notes to these.
Notes? You mean music or text?
Text, notes to yourself.
So this one actually was an interesting little experiment. I started with a prompt that was the view from a train at the Scandinavian countryside. And then I used the motion brush. I masked just what was outside the windows and a little bit of the table. And then I did all the way to the right and all the way forward. And as you can see, it definitely did a nice job of that motion effect just on the stuff that's outside. And you even get a little bit of the shadows across the table here.
Did you need the motion brush for the shadows, or did they automatically move with the picture?
I did select a little bit of the table in the
Yeah.
masking along
Okay.
with this so that it would get affected by the motion.
Okay.
The only problem is the trees were showing up halfway only.
Yeah, that's one of the challenges I've had. You see, like this tree comes out of nowhere, for example, right? So what I've been experimenting with now is actually just making a video and then making the car separately and then putting the one video behind the other. You know, and I'm a total newbie at cinematography stuff, but people are like, well, that's of course how you always make animations. You do it in layers. I was like, oh, okay, I wouldn't know.
Adam, I got a
But so let's see how this one did. Here's the free tool, right? Let's see. Let's see if it's actually going to give us any motion. Yeah, very subtle, right?
Yeah.
So if you can do 16 seconds at a time maximum, right?
Yep.
And again, depending on how many points you have, you can go as long as the points you have. You can do a 5-minute, 10-minute, 30-minute, an hour storyline.
Story, yeah.
Okay.
I'm curious, Liz Vanzura, are you still on? Do you want to, Liz, are you still with us?
Yep, I'm on.
Well, I know your whole career has been in the marketing and creative. What are you seeing on this video creation with some of the agencies you're working with? Is this revolutionary, or are these little tools for hobbyists and won't hit in the mainstream?
You know, honestly, it's a good question. Paul, what I see is agencies playing with it. Not really sure how much of it is actually getting to the client. So I think a lot of creators are, at least the ones that I'm working with, are using, are playing, they're using it behind the scenes. I told you before that there are some that are really embracing it, like Coca-Cola and so forth, but others just playing with it, again, kind of worried about rights, and clients not as willing to use it.
Yeah.
So again, that's changing, but that's what I'm seeing.
Yeah. Adam, fantastic job, Adam.
I have a
thank you
comment to make about that. What agencies that I'm working with are using it for is, instead of having a long drawn out discussion about what things are going to be, if you have the train going around the corner, right, you can actually do this and say, here, this is what it's going to look like when the train goes around the corner. And it saves days and days of waiting, because you can just throw it in front of them and go, oh yeah, I like that, oh I don't like that, and it's saving lots of time and money just for that reality of approvals.
Yeah, like sort of storyboarding.
Yeah, exactly.
Storyboarding without having to like hire an artist to do every frame.
Yeah.
And that is a lot of money and a lot of time.
It's all the
and also the
frustration.
updates, right? I do the first one. I need to make a minor change, but I don't want to pay the guy $1 million an hour. There you go.
Yeah.
So you just don't make those changes.
Yeah. Or you want it, or somebody says, can you change the background and make it about this instead? Well, yeah, it's easy. You don't have to like redo the whole thing. So the storyboarding, and by the way, that is expensive work that used to take a lot of time and money, is now easy, and almost anyone can do it. Plus, to your point about visualizing and making it easier to see before you invest. So it's like animatics, which took a lot of money and time for research and things like that.
Just real quick, I see Conrad put in the chat. Can you show your screen with all the links so I can screen capture? Conrad, I've replied with the link to that Google Doc, so you can just go get all those links yourself. And everyone, again, in line on the chat, I just put the Google Doc link again. So please hop on there and grab all of those tools and get to work, have some fun.
Are you gonna win this Gen 48 thing? Is that your goal, or because now I'm in it? I mean, you better watch out.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, I thought I was going to win, but now that I know that you're in it, David, I'm not so sure.
Well, now you have all of us, So is Paul, is GA Insights going to have their own entry for your own kind of corporate testimonial, whatever video?
Not as a company, but it was individual for that.
Well, I'll tell you, if this is their second time running the competition, and if you go back and look at some of the videos people have made, 1 to 4 minutes using this tool, it is incredible what people are doing already. Like I can't compete at that level. I'm not a cinematographer, but to have 1,000 minutes free credits to play with this coming weekend. It's just a great way to get your feet wet and really, oh, let's try if we do full motion. What if we only do 10%? We can just try all the combos and figure out what works.
I was at a MIT event, and the Runway ML CEO was there, and he said everyone's going to have a digital movie studio in your pocket
Yeah.
around the world. So billions of people are now cinematographers. I want to open
Well,
up the mic here.
it's making the less talented folks like on the same level as, it's democratizing creativity.
Well said, Liz. I want to open up the open mics. Open mics, when people got questions and stuff, I want to share things. I think Angela, was it Angela who had one in the beginning?
Yep, that was me.
Go ahead,
Yeah.
Angela,
So
and then looks like
it was
Bob's got something.
about link. So if you wanted to read the content of the link, that's what I'm having problems with. In ChatGPT paid version and actually Bard.
Can you can you show it or say what the problem is
I
again?
think it's just if you paste a link into your chat and then you're asking it to go get information from that page. Is that what you're talking about, Angela? And it's having trouble
That's
getting
exactly
the data?
it. Yep. Mhm.
Yeah. I know that they have OpenAI has put a framework in place so that people can specify whether or not their page can be crawlable or readable by ChatGPT. I also feel like the tool is still a bit limited. I often have to just go out and select all on the page and copy paste into my chat to get that working.
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
Angela, I often have to just say search the internet and put the whole link, including HTTPS. And Adam, when a page is not being allowed because of a robot's text file, ChatGPT will tell you that.
Great. Thanks.
So I do usually use the whole link, the HTTPS link.
But the point is you have to say search the internet or use Bing.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Thanks, Rosemary and Adam. Go ahead, Bob.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
Bob, you're on mute.
So can you hear me now, Paul?
Yeah, yes.
So last Tuesday night, I had the pleasure of being invited to a private event with Ido Liberty. He's the CEO of Pinecone, so sort of the Sam Altman of the whole vector space, so vector search behind recommendation engines, RAGs, and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, in addition to his public comments, I had a chance to talk to him one-on-one, and what he pointed me to is the document you see in front of me. So everything that Alden has done is now open source free from Pinecone. And there's two advantages of it. And again, this is targeted to those in the group that have either software development talents or working with customers who have development talents. So up and down the stack, everything from chat history to chunking, embedding, query optimization, all that stuff, it's all free, open sourced in layers. So you can pick your own embedding model if you wanted to do so. Now, why is that useful? It's because you can pick and choose your LLM, for example. So Paul, you had mentioned a financial customer. They could actually use this plus privately host in AWS, for example, Mistral or Llama and so forth. All of it's now available, and the scalability goes from 1 billion to 30 billion vectors up to 1,000 dimensions each. So we're talking about trillions of attributes. It's unfriggin' believable what they have just made available.
Bob, I just want to make sure that, so this is great for people who want to do it yourself. So if I want to go to Home Depot and build stuff, have lots of flexibility, these are great tools. If I just want to get porch spit in, then I can use a all-in-one no-code solution. Is that?
Yeah, so at a very high level, Alden would win an Innovators Award because basically what it's done is the ability to chat with your database accessible to people who aren't tech wizards. And it has a lot of applications where the data sets are confined. What Pinecone does is it opens up to multiple media types, multiple dimensions, that sort of thing, but you need to have either talent yourself or access to talent. But what Alden had to do to produce his product a year ago, you could do it in 10% of the time with the same level of talent, because they can do it at scale and have already debugged this with enormous amount of works. It's sort of a continuation of the theme of new AI coming out, and what was hard before has now been made a lot easier. So this isn't a no-code solution, but it solves your financial institution problem, just as an example.
And I think all the others, I'm going back to the early days of the internet. Remember the HTML pages to come out, everyone would edit them in a text editor. And next thing you know, oh, you can actually start building tools.
Right.
So tools are really coming, you know.
Yeah, a lot of similarities, except the pace is now happening a lot faster.
Exactly. Well, fantastic. Let's, excellent work.
Hey, Paul, sorry, two things. I see someone asking for the link for what Bob was just sharing.
Yeah, just search the word pinecone in Canopy. You'll find it.
Canopy, that was the other one. I was searching for pinecone and I couldn't find it itself.
Yeah, Canopy.
Well.
It was released in November, and I talked to the VP of products. Lots of new stuff coming out with it.
And the other question, I put a text
Adam.
in there to, oh, go ahead, Mike.
It's in chat.
Yeah. Someone was asking about my background image. That's actually a video. If you watch it, it'll slowly change. And I put a description there for what I did, but it's basically 15 seconds of video that then I flipped to make a 30-second loop, and then I stretched it out to about 10 minutes. So you see a waterfall now, but if you watched it over the course of the show, you'd see there was a gate there at one point. There was a river there at one point. Yeah, I love to play with the tools.
Well, fantastic meeting everyone. Fantastic work, Adam. Thank you, everyone. Let's keep getting the word out. We don't advertise this at all. People keep coming up, so I know we can have other people we can educate and bring into the fold. And Rosemary, fantastic work on the slides, getting us to be a more professional-looking group. Thanks, everyone. See you next week.
Good job, guys.
Thank you.